Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Bertie Leroux podcast. My name is Simon Fune, and I have the absolute honor of co-hosting this show where we speak about amazing things. Our common thread is vision with imagination, and we are unpacking this concept every week where we speak about the different ways to approach it, how to enrich our lives by focus, by creating focus points and vision, developing ourselves, and introspection. We talked about oversight. We spoke about insight and all those concepts, which is very, very exciting. Today, we're going to take one of the things that Bertie is very, very, very passionate about, and that is the concept of snakes and ladders and how that applies to business, leadership, and self-development. With me, obviously, on the call today, Bertie Leroux. Good afternoon, Bertie. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon to Ivan, and good afternoon to everyone out there. I'm doing very well, doing very fine, thank you.
That's wonderful, Bertie. As the viewers can see, we've got a weird background today, and that is something that we pulled together just for our theme. As you can see, snakes and ladders over there. Bertie, I want to play the video that we've shot before, where you speak about this concept. But before we go into that video, do you want to introduce this topic to us just very briefly, like a 30-second or a 1-minute overview of what is this about?
Just before we start, if it is supposed to be up there, I don't see it, Ivan, as yet.
Okay.
As a backdrop. But yeah, Ivan's quite right when he talks about this as being passionate, because this is where my journey actually started in '88. I moved from Cape Town to Mpumalanga, today's Mpumalanga, to electrical utilities, one of the power stations called Kendall. And at that stage, Eskom was continuously going through decentralization and centralization exercises, moving between the two. And I, fortunate enough to join a new power station in development. So I could choose my own staff, put together my own team, which was quite exciting. But in the process of the decentralization and centralization, management's role changed every time, because in some cases you had the benefit of junior team members and leadership, whilst in other cases you did not have that. That was centralized somewhere else in town. So in that process, you develop people to fulfill a specific function. But in terms of that role and that Patterson grading that they had to have a certain qualification and obvious experience that was prescribed. So during this changeovers, often the same individual became out of favor. You could not give him that position and that role anymore. Because with the centralization, that responsibility is taken away. And then all of a sudden it comes back again. And all through this whole process, I sat with unhappy team members that had lots of expectations of growth and personal development, and I couldn't offer them that. So I ended up with all the frustration. And I was watching my little daughter at that stage, who was around about 2 years old, playing one evening, playing snakes and ladders with my wife. And I saw in that my answer. I said, life in the way I'm struggling and being challenged with is nothing other than a snakes and ladders game. We need to manage our lives according to a start for which we are prepared and ready. And we should have goals, interim goals, and overall goal visions for ourselves, which is exactly what it's on there. And through that, I started using that in the process of developing career development and growth plans for my team. And it worked like a charm. Easy to understand and therefore easy to manage. So that is where my journey started as a people developer, a coach, a mentor, and a consultant back in 1988.
Awesome. Thank you, Barty, for introducing that for us. And so we're going to quickly watch a video and so we can get just the idea of what are we talking about when we are dealing with this topic. I'm going to share the screen now and then we're going to play.
No sound yet, Ivan. Sorry, Ivan, if you can hear me, there is no sound as yet.
You're saying there's no sound?
There was no sound, yes.
Okay. Let me see what the problem is. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Patty, if you want to just get us started on, you mentioned with us while I look at this technical thing, if you can just elaborate and get started on how does snakes and ladders, can you break it down for us? How does snakes and ladders apply to the corporate space and also to life?
Thanks, Ivan. Yes, I say again, I'm quite passionate about the simplicity of the exercise. And recently, when I prepared for some global talks, I actually researched snakes and ladders as a concept, and I was absolutely flabbergasted to find out that the use of snakes and ladders and the origin of snakes and ladders goes back hundreds of years. Between the Indians and the Chinese, they've used it extensively as a planning tool, as we would now talk about strategic planning. And those days they used it as a planning tool. Even in all aspects of life, they use it in organizations and in governments and war, the whole planning in terms of creating step by steps. In the backdrop, you can see the snakes and ladders as we know it. It's got a start and an end. Normally starting with a zero, but nil, but naught, and go to 100. It's got, and then it counts up all the way to the top. In those days, they did the same, but in different blocks. They had different um, interim goals that they need to meet en route to their overall goal, or for that matter, purpose and vision. And then and that in their game they actually said, if you've achieved this and you've done this, move up 2 blocks, move up 1 block, move up 4 blocks, over and above the existence of the ladders and the snakes. So it is not the fact that I looked at it and my daughter was playing it and created my career planning based on those principles, was therefore not unique. It's come a long way. From there, it moved over to the with the UK, England, and then it got across to the States. Obviously, the Americans don't like snakes. They talk about shoots and ladders. But the same principle and the same concepts apply. So in life and business, in your career planning, there's 4 elements in it. Normally, I love, and that's why I created Vision with Imagination, is that I create a vision with imagination. Big part of that is creativity, and purpose. That you set for yourself a goal, which at that outset must uh, give you stretch built in that, and it must almost be impossible. But we all know if we can conceive it, we can do it. So if the mind can come up with such a solution and such an opportunity, there's no reason for you not making it. The mind will not tell you all these impossible things. The mind would not allow tell you to cross a chasm with 2 and 3 small jumps, but it would teach you how to eat an elephant a bit by bit. Okay, so we must understand that concept. So in developing the snakes and ladders, I said I have that overall goal. So I created vision for myself, and a clear vision will pull you into your future and allow you to start living your future in the here and now. But then where to start? To start in the rules of the game is you must throw a six. So you must be equipped, you must be prepared. Education, experience, whatever the case may be, have the right tools, doesn't matter what. But in terms of where you want to go, you need to be equipped to start this journey. And if it's in a specific career, be educated, whether it's college, university, or just university of life, doesn't really matter. Prepare yourself to start this game in order to play to throw the six. And if you throw the six, you enter this game. And as we see it, we move from 1 to 2 to 3, 4. We don't move from 1 to 7 to 19 to 21, such is the case in terms of the counting ability of a 1 year old. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. I can't decide not to wake up tomorrow and not to live tomorrow and just live the day thereafter. It's not real. Okay, so those blocks. So we understand that I'm going to follow the steps, follow the order to get to my goals. But then, if I have got this clear goal in my mind, I would also know what would be defined as opportunities. Because throughout our life, there's opportunities that come our way. Some is good, some is bad. And sometimes the bad is not necessarily negative, but what it can do to you is that it takes your eye off the goal, and might distract your attention, and you will take longer therefore to get to your overall vision, because you might think this is an excellent opportunity which will take me closer to my goal, and it end up not distracted you. You probably move even off the board and have to get back on it, and you thought this was an opportunity that would take me closer to my goal. So there is checks and balances in one's personal life, in organizations, whatever, that one can make certain that if I'm focused, I move forward in one direction. I don't get distracted, because it's the distractions that take my that takes my eye off the ball, and I don't see the opportunities, because life is full of opportunities, and we all know about that. I often tell people about the concept of, if you as a family want decide this end of this year, I'm going to go on a ski holiday, never been in the Swiss Alps, never put my foot on snow, and that's your goal, as we're going to do. All of a sudden, everything around you, and forget about the fact that Facebook and Google and all those guys track and trace our every move, and therefore there we see all these adverts that popping up from holidaying in the snow and those kind of things. No, whatever you do, you see it, you hear it, you didn't tell your brain anything. You just told your brain, I've got a goal. End of this year, Swiss Alps snowing 2 weeks. Okay, that's it. The rest will happen automatically. So because you focus, the opportunities will become clearer. They will be so big you can't miss them, because you focus, you know exactly what you want. And when you look at it, you can see that's an opportunity. And the ladders in the snakes and ladders game is exactly that. Those are the opportunities. And the nice thing about this game is, and the rules of the game is that if you are lying 2 blocks away, see the picture here, you're lying block it's number 7, and at number 9, there's a ladder. You can say to yourself, I see that opportunity. I'm working towards that opportunity. I'm gonna get there. So I'm going to end up on 9. So if I throw a 3, I can say pass. And you can say, I'm not ready yet. And life allows you that because you're in charge. Ivan, that's easy. It's not science. It's simple. I then wait. When I throw a 1, I take the step from 7 to 8, and I wait for another 1. But I wait because I'm in control. I'm happy. I know that ladder is taking me to block number 27. In other words, I'm moving from 9 to 27. That is in my control, and that is what is so important. If we are focused on opportunities that come to us, law of reciprocity, if you give, you get. So we are giving in our life, and we are opening our eyes, and we get. Sometimes we don't even know that. People open roads for us, open paths for us. They take the bricks and the stones and the thorns away from in front of us. We don't even realize that. So key to this game, therefore, is this opportunity and the identification of the opportunities. So we go quickly back to our vision. Because of my vision and the overview that allows me to see much wider than where I am grounded at the moment. Because remember, as part of my vision with imagination, I say to people, I don't want you to just strategize from where you're at. Because if you strategize from where you're at, where you are grounded, you can only move one step at a time. But if you leave that, let that behind and just elevate yourself into space, you will not be grounded. You'll be able to see so much wider. Opportunities will be jumping out of there. You're not limited by a horizon at all. It's like the eagle. It's soaring up there. And if the weather turns bad, it just fly higher. And it flies above the bad weather. So because the eagle is totally controlled. You, my friend, the eagle, is totally controlled if you own snakes and ladders game. And it's just a game. But I'm running ahead of this chat, but I'm saying at the end of the day, I say to people, just take a normal, ordinary snakes and ladders and stick it on your door, stick it on your fridge, because that will help you to understand that life starts somewhere and it develops and it progresses to an ultimate goal, and that vision that you defined with imagination. If you don't have a vision, every road will take you wherever you want to go. Because you've got no idea. Get clarity, then you would know.
Let me quickly try and play this file again. I'm going to use a different way to do it, and then we'll see if that works. Batty, just feel free to let me know if it's working, and let's see.
A 3, and you hit the head of the snake. You have to go down to the tail of that snake. You have no choice. You can't say pass. Hi, my name is Bertie Leroux and I'm a transformational coach. I help businesses grow beyond the expectation by applying the principles of bird's eye view thinking. In this video, I want to share with you a very simple but practical goal setting solution. Something I'm extremely passionate about. Because the simplicity of that is mind-boggling, but the effect and the impact of the principles applied in that is phenomenal. I'll take you back to when I just started with a big corporate that went through a lot of centralization and decentralization, which meant that in certain positions you needed qualified people, and when you decentralized, you did not. You needed more doers than managers. And in that process of centralizing and decentralizing, a lot of staff has grown and have been able and proved that they could do the job. But because they didn't have the experience in education and qualification, I couldn't give them the job. Which frustrated me, but also frustrated them. And one day when I was watching my little daughter playing board games, it struck me how effective I can use the game of snakes and ladders when it comes to managing unrealistic expectations. And I actually built a program around it. And I introduced it into my organization, where we use that then to help people to manage their career and their career paths. Let's just for a minute spend some time around snakes and ladders, because it really and truly represents life. The game starts with the first block, and then it ends up somewhere in the top, block number 100 or whatever that board game might be in terms of the size of the blocks. It implies that you must work from 1 to 100 to be successful, to achieve your goal. But there's certain rules in this game. Number 1, you need to throw a 6 before you can get on the board. In other words, you need to be equipped. Education, experience, whatever the demand and the requirement is, to get into this career and into this job, to start. So then you throw in your 6 and you start down it. And you can move your block, and every time the dice go from one player to the next, and you throw 3 or 4 or 6, you move on 6 or 2 or 3 blocks. But what is crucially important, there's 2 elements on this board that is very important and vastly different. The one is a ladder and the other one is a snake. Both those 2 we find in real life, in my career path and yours. The rules of the game says, if you end up on the block at the bottom of the ladder, you can go up that ladder to the top. That implies, same with life, if you know your opportunities because you know where you're going to, you are able to manage exactly that. So if the ladder is 3 blocks away from you and you throw a 4, you're allowed to say pass. So you don't move. If you throw 1 or a 2, you can move, your choice. Because you are looking at this opportunity and you know this opportunity is going to take me 22 blocks up. And I'm willing to wait till I get there. Same with life. If you're focused, the opportunities will come and you will plan accordingly and you take them when they get to you. And you will work and develop. So I choose to throw 1 or a 2 to get to my block. But life is also full of snakes. That's the reality of life, I call them. If you throw a 3 and you hit the head of the snake, you have to go down to the tail of that snake. You have no choice. You can't say pass. And so often in life, things happen over which we have no control. And we can't then say pass, stop time, roll the clock back, because I don't want this to happen. It happens. Life is real. But you've got overall purpose. You've got you can see block number 100. So you will just have to start again. And in your path will come more ladders, maybe longer ones, maybe shorter ones. So you will go through this process where life gave you opportunities and you can plan accordingly, gave you snakes, and it can put you back. But it shouldn't put you back because you've got an overall purpose, overall goal. Don't lose that focus. You have not reached your goal yet. Work towards it. So the snakes and ladders became so easy and simple to understand, and my staff put it on their cupboards at home with their children to say that this is my plan for whatever purpose and goal I've set in life. Start somewhere. I will understand there's opportunities. I'm in control. There will be snakes. I've got no control, but it's not the end of the world. I'll start again and I'll get to the top. I don't want you to miss anything. Like me on my Facebook page, subscribe.
So that was very powerful. It was quite fun to integrate that into the stream today. I think we can do that a lot more. Batty, I've just noticed that this is very similar to Monopoly. Isn't it true that Monopoly you also find things like you have the advances that the ladders give you, and you're like, go straight to the start, or go past begin and collect $200, 200 Rand, which is a nice bonus for you. Getting paid on landing on certain properties, etc. But there's also where you lose, right? And that is when you land on the blocks, which you mentioned there, going on the blocks where the snakes are, and then you go down. I know there's one snake on the board, which is very long. It takes you from the top all the way to the bottom. And so that really sucks. And it's true, just like on for instance Monopoly, there's this spot where you say pull a card and it'll say go straight to jail. So those are the things that suck for you in the game, but those are real life applications. Those are things that you can see. It reflects life. Sometimes it goes bad and sometimes it's going to be good and you're going to advance. Would you say that rolling the dice represents making decisions in this concept?
I just want to say that the whole concept of snakes and ladders, and that's why I support it so much, is the simplicity of it. Monopoly, one can certainly apply the same principles in thinking to Monopoly, but there's more to Monopoly. There's other other things that come into play in terms of chance and so forth. So I don't want to compare it, but I'm not throwing it out of the door. To be quite honest, I've never looked at it and said, listen, can this also be a game that one can use in development of thinking in terms of your career? Snakes and ladders was just simple for me. It was nice at this stage to just watch myself and listen to what I was talking about, because it's important. I'd say it's so important to have purpose. One of the things that struck me most about life, and that breaks my heart every single time I hear about it and I read about it, is people that get so desperate, young and old, get so desperate for whatever reason, that they take their own lives because they believe that's the end of their life. And that's so sad, because life is full of snakes, as the video clip ended up with. Snakes is the realities of life. We cannot come past that. But famous golfer Gary Player always said, the more I practice, the luckier I get in terms of his ability to get out of the sand traps and into the hole and so forth. And it's true to life. Failure sometimes and often makes us stronger. There's companies that embraces failures because they know that if you're willing to fail, you're willing to succeed as well. Because it's those that have learned lessons from their previous experiences that come out on top and end up being stronger. So in terms of this board game, the snakes is taking you back, and as we said over and over, you had no choice about that, and that is so true about life. I mean, it could be simple. Want to play a sport for a specific team or whatever, and you end up in a motor car accident or a motor bicycle accident, and you break a leg and whatever, you gone. But it's not the end of the world. Your leg will mend. You'll get strong, and you start working again towards that goal. It's not the end of the world. But if you don't have that goal of wanting to play for that team, it may just be the end of your world. Because with that, you link a lot of extreme negativities that takes everything away from you, even your soul. And you are incapable of getting up. And you stay down there, and that is where you are happy. And that is where you end your life. And that is, as I say, it breaks my heart. And if you explain to children and to people this concept of life is nothing but a board game. I mean, I read yesterday, just I read a phrase from Mark Twain that said there's two important days in your life, not just one, which is normally what we say, that's the day when we born, the most important day. I said, no, the second, equally important day is the day you find out why you were born. And that why is linked to your overall vision. That's your purpose of life. That's why you're here. That's your block number 100. But remember, you can also have multiple board games, not necessarily simultaneously, but if you achieved some of your visions, you start another one. There's new things in life that are going to challenges that I'm going to take up. Learn new skills and grab new opportunities and start acquire new skills to throw the six and start a new game. But I have to have an overall vision to make sense of this game. If I don't, then I can go along this throw box and end up on a ladder or end up on a snake, go up and down and end up nowhere. I'm a drifter. I'm lost in space. Got to be able to understand the major principles. Having the skills, the experience, qualifications is just the start. But having the ability to see the opportunities is extremely important. And then having the muscle and the will and the mindset to accept what goes wrong is equally important. And then we go towards our goal. Have your focus. And I say, so often when we go through the whole process of thinking in the vision with imagination, if you define your vision and get that as clear, I don't want to say as clear as mud, as clear as you can, brilliant you can get. You get pulled into your future because you start living in your future. Everything elevates you. Your whole being is elevated. And it's almost like you go in overdrive and speed up towards that because it's so clear. You're enjoying it. It's like looking at the cake through the glass window until you enter the door and actually buy it. Okay. You have to take certain steps. There's a dream, there's a want, there's a need, and there's a wish. So Ivan,
I think
go on.
I think as we end off this interview, let's talk to young people because we are now we now have a culture where we have a lot of people playing games. They now evolved. It's not snakes and ladders. With snakes and ladders has a very real life application. We have a lot of young people playing games on the internet or on devices. And what happens is these games are designed that if I die, then I can just start again and I can carry on from where I am. And I want you to speak to that and the fact that in life, it does not work that way. You have consequences. If you make mistakes like life-threatening mistakes, you will die and you will not be able to come back again. And the seriousness of kind of understanding the difference between those two.
You know, it's actually sad to end up at this on this point because that is unfortunately in some people that investigate these self-deaths is exactly that young people believe that they can send a message to their family, to their friends, to the world that they're unhappy because if they take their lives, they'll just get it back again. You just buy another life, click another button on the computer. And that's real. It's not a joke. It's unfortunately, it's real. But we as adults, and I mean, there might be children looking at this and listening to this, and I hope they do. And if there's parents watching, please play to your children.
Share it with them. Yes.
Share it as far as you can, because at the end of the day, we all have to start somewhere. But the unfortunate thing is, and we've covered it often, that we say, you're born unique. And in that fact is you're born unique and were gifted by God. Unique gifts to you, entrusted to you, on which you built your why. Okay? And so you're born to stand out. But unfortunately, for many reasons, and we don't have the time to cover it now, we basically grow up trying to fit in rather than trying to stand out. That's one of our biggest challenges. I want to be like everybody else instead of just being the best me I can possibly be. So, in if you understand the concept of wanting to stand out, you will understand that you are gifted. And if you understand that, you would understand this. I cannot just have all the same dreams that everybody else. I must build, develop, and create my own dreams based on who I am. In terms of my subject selection at, at high school and at senior school, so that I can be prepared for a specific direction of education and qualifying myself to live a wish for what I actually want to be in life. And in that process, I often say to people, it doesn't matter what. If you want to become a doctor, want to be a teacher, you want to be a mechanic, or whatever the case may be, my friend, go out there and become it, irrespective of the cost, irrespective of the time it takes. Don't look back and say other people have studied for a doctor 6, 7 years and you've done 10. Doesn't matter, my friend. Your goal is to become a doctor. Your goal is not to become a doctor in 6 years or 7 or 8 or 9 years. It's to become a doctor because that's your passion. And that's where you start, by defining what you are. And I closed off the other one. You're not there yet. So it doesn't matter what happens in your life. Don't stop and change direction. Keep your focus on where you want to go, irrespective of age, whether you're 80 years old. I spoke to a group of people last year with us, basically a group of people over the age of 60, and shared exactly the same. That passion plus purpose equals prosperity. Keep your focus because that's your purpose, and drive to where you want to go. And not even a temporary setback like a snake will distract you from your goal. It might take a little bit longer. Life is tough. Some people have it easier. Others have it tougher. But it doesn't matter. It makes you strong, make you resilient. Get up and go. Get up and go. Let nobody sit on you. Let nobody hold you back. Take control. It's yours. Nobody else's. Live your life and strive to become what you want to be. And if you're not there yet, just work harder. You're going to get there. And that's what the Snakes and Ladders game tell you. Simple, not complex, easy to understand. No catches. Just follow the rules.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone that's watching all the way through here. As you saw, a very strong message to young people there. I think, as we requested, I think this might be a good video to share with young people. So if you can just click the link or click the share button and share it with young people everywhere, I think this could be really profound for them. And I think we might unpack this even more as we see the comments coming through. So if you have any questions for Barty, post it in the comments below. I saw him in the week, very diligent, answering people's questions and giving feedback, etc. So thank you very much, Barty, for this phenomenal session. It was nice testing the technology and infusing your videos in it as well. So as we grow, we'll definitely start using more of that. Thank you so much for your wisdom. I have to mention this. One of Barty's friends and associates, I think, posted that and thanking Barty and told him, Barty, so much wisdom coming through. It has to be shared far and wide. So I think that was really phenomenal feedback, Barty. Thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Absolute pleasure. That is so enjoyable, and I'm so passionate about especially this subject amongst others, but this one, it is number one. And I hope
awesome.
Take it away far. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And if you've watched this, remember to leave comments at the bottom. And we're looking forward to seeing you again next week at 4 o'clock Tuesday. Thank you so much.